Hello, I'm Bernhard Handau and welcome to my home. I'm a painter, not really from profession here, but I started I'm actually an automation engineer, and I do painting like for up and on maybe 20 years, off and on, not always, not continuously, but I started with watercolor, then went over to acrylics and then oil and all other kinds of paintings. So I started about 1999, the first time painting. For my wife, she influenced me with her watercolor, sewing and painting. And then I started then, and then slowly developed my own style. So I went a little out of normal, so did other things, did with flames, with burning, with woodwork and enamel and all kind of experimental things. Things I find on the ground, on the side when I drive on the car, I find a chain and then I get, okay, maybe I can use that for some artwork. So I use that, I'll do some other things, whatever I find, whatever I see, and I include that in my work sometimes. And you will see it pretty soon. So let's start with something. When you want to start, we can start with one painting and go around and I'll show you a little bit. It's all acrylic and it's 36. And I started with normal acrylic colors, and I added some neon colors to it and mixed them together and let them flow down and everything. The underground is a gypsum and glue layer underneath it, and then I glazed it with some polyurethane on top of it. So this took about maybe 2 days to do. Skipped it on the side, so the paint was liquid and floating down the side. There's some acrylic, there's some, how is it called? It's some special color who floats really good. It's alcohol ink. There's some of those pieces here is alcohol ink. When you tip it out, it floats down and mixed with water and it gives us effect. Okay, this little one here is called Pele's Hair. It's an 11 by 14 and it's mostly acrylic. But then I experimented with a rubber paint. I put a rubber layer on it from a spray paint they use for cars to insulate like holes and everything. So I put the rubber layer on top of the acrylic and put another layer on ink on top of that. So it gives us a little shiny thing and a little distortion. What you can see in the middle, it's kind of deflecting. So the rubber deflects that acrylic and it gives a little shiny thing when you can see a little closer. This one up here is called Sycamore, and it's one of my first watercolors, an experimental one. It was a big painting before, it was like a 30 times 22, and it got cut up, and this little piece I saved and sewed it on another piece of cardboard or watercolor paper, and it's framed. It's the only one framed. It's like for $19.99, like over 20 years old, and my wife told me not to sell it anymore, ever. So she really likes it, and I like it too. So it's not for sale for anybody. Okay, this is the next one here is one of the influenced me from the Pollock series. Pollock, when I saw the movie, he inspired me to do some of his painting, what he did. So I did a series of his style of paintings, and I mixed several colors together, and it's like an action painting. I put the painting on the floor and go for it with a color I can find, like white, black, red, green, whatever I have available, and I really have enjoying doing this. And on top of that, when it's all dried, I put a layer of polyurethane on it and make it more shiny, to make it more presentable. So it was pretty good. I have like 10 of those in different variants, different colors, gray, black, black, white, you name it. I have all kind of things. This is called the Celestial Series number 10, and it's a 30 times 30, and it's mainly enamel and metallics color. So the enamel is mixed with alcohol ink and makes it floating around. When it's all wet, it floats, and I have to turn it and twist it to get those patterns in here. On the underground, there's a gypsum layer on top to give it a little pattern, to give it a little structure and everything underneath. So you can see it from the side, it has a little bubbly structure, and this is where the effects came from. This next one is a wooden piece, and I collected some recycled wood from a recycler, and I bought several planks and cut it in pieces. And this is old recycled wood, and this is gathering of the ceremony, and I had some other leather pieces left over and some nails and some feathers, and I just put them on there, put some colors on there, and made it a little sculpture. And there's a little hanging thing on there, and I have several of those. I have like 10 or 15 of those kind of things with different things on there, different metals, different chains, and other metal pieces. But this is one of those. Okay, we have two of those paintings here. Those are actually rubber-coated paintings, and then with neon colors on top. And those two were included in the show. It was a night show with black light, and they really glow in the dark when you have black light on them. And they were really standing out, and this looks like an old tree here with the roots growing here. And when you put acrylic on rubber, it gives this pattern, it divides it up. It's not actually sticking to the rubber so good, it's kind of flaking off a little bit and gives this special pattern here. Okay, this is called the Hunt, and this is, how I said before, this is one of those reclaimed wood pieces I cut up and refurbished again, and there's some leather on it and some copper nailed copper, but I heated up to get a little color on it, some feathers, some old chain I found on the street, and some color. And then I glazed it all with a little glaze on top to make it a little shiny, make it a little wood. And you turn it around, you can kind of see that old pattern here from that old wood piece, what we got from the recycle place. Okay, this is an experimental piece. It doesn't have a title because I really don't know what I would title it, because there's everything is on here. There's like crackling paste, normal paste, there's alcohol ink, there's acrylic, there's oil color, there's spray paint, there is a marker on it, and then there's other components, and I cannot really tell. This is more an experimental thing that came out pretty good. I sprayed some water on it and it gives a little bubbles with the alcohol ink, so it came out kind of extraordinary. So I really like it. I'm not sure how we're gonna name it yet, because there might be some components I'm gonna put on there still, but it's a piece in progress. So here's another wooden piece, and I said, well, what am I gonna do with those old bottles I have, like water bottles, everybody's throws them away, and I said, okay, maybe I should melt one or two of them on a piece of wood. So it turned out, after like 50 bottles on the wood, what I melted on here, it came out to that little sculpture here. So then I said, oh, well, what am I going to do with that? That looks pretty cool. So I painted it with some acrylic and with some neon color and some glow-in-the-dark color. So that really shows when you're under a UV light. It really shows different patterns, different colors, and it really stands out when you have like in a black light environment. And it's also on recycled wood, what I purchased from a recycler, and it's one of those pieces I have. Little Pollock thing here, but he did in his studio. I try to reproduce that sometimes. So I do different colors. I already started a little bit, but I'm gonna try what he kind of did. He kind of just did this kind of things. Just put the color on it with sticks, with brushes, with whatever he can find, spoons. When he took his hand sometimes and put patterns with his hands on it. But I like to do this kind of patterns here too, to make it more interesting. This is called like action paintings, or do something with it. It's not really coordinated so much, but just go for it. Just have some reclaimed wood. We're gonna melt some plastic on top of other plastic what I already did before. So it gives that kind of pattern and things. It looks like a mollusk stuff, kind of stuff. It's just gonna melt this down on others. Let me get another one. Be a little careful when it glues together. It's kind of hard when it burns. We're gonna do that outside because the fumes are kind of bad when you do this. It kind of melts together and gives that little form here. It's gonna. And later I'm gonna paint all that with like other colors and let it float a little bit inside each other. So it's going to be upcycling, so not recycling, but upcycling. It's got to get no new purpose. Okay, hello again. This is Bernhard Handau again. And thank you for being here today with me. And I have to come to conclusion because my time is up. And my web, you can visit everything what you saw today on my webpage. It's called handauarts.com, or on my Instagram at brhandau at Instagram. Thank you very much for visiting.